Good evening, everyone. This is Clara with Card Stamping with Clara, and I'm anxious to show you these cute little penguin cards that I've been working on in the last couple of days. So I thought I would try to do a video tonight and get it on out on the internet as soon as I can. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator if you haven't joined me before, and I welcome you along. And if you would please, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate it if you do. That helps me and it allows you to know when I have another video coming your way. So the only other thing I guess I need to mention before we get started is this is celebration time at Stampin' Up! And that means that you can earn free prizes or free merchandise. Let's just put it that way. There are certain items in a celebration catalog which you can look at on my website and see what you can get if you purchase $50 worth of other product or $100. There's a couple of items that require a $100 purchase. But you'll see a little bit of the paper tonight, and we'll just go from there. So let's get started, and we'll see what we can come up with here in a few minutes. The card that we're going to be making tonight, I think is called an interactive card. I saw one that was similar to this that had an opening in the front, and I could never find the recipe for it, so I kind of made up my own as I went along. So I think it worked out pretty well, and I'll tell you how I made mine, and I hope that's close enough to the way it's supposed to be done. But this card has an opening, like I said, here in the front, and then you have a little circle here in the center that opens up, and you get to see the sentiment, which is happy birthday in this case. So this is the card that we're going to make tonight, and I'm going to lay it over and tell you where I got the products to make it. It is called the Penguin Place Bundle, I believe is the correct name for it. The Penguin Place Bundle. It comes with, it's a photopolymer set, and as you can see, I've been using mine, and it's got this cute little penguin that you can either stamp or punch out with a punch, and this comes with this punch. And what you're able to do is punch out the outside of the body, the inside white part of the body, and the feet. So those are the things that you can punch out, and I'm going to show you how to use this in a little bit too. So we'll lay the stamps over, and I'm going to put the punch here where I can get a hold of it, so I can show you in a little bit. I also used one of the rectangle stitched framelits dies, just because this long one fit nicely for the sentiment that I put on the front. And I'm using the layered circle framelit dies. And I've pulled out the 3 smooth ones that I used, which are the 3 largest smooth ones. And I'll tell you what I used each one of those for too in a minute. But these are great dies, and so are the rectangles for all kinds of projects. So that's what I use them, just for lots of things. Let me show you the other cards briefly so you can kind of get an idea of what I've been doing, and maybe you'll get some ideas from these cards too. This one, as you can see, I used that circle die, and I also used the scalloped circle die, and this is a larger one than the one that just peeps out around the edges. I just wanted a little bit more green. And this paper, this 12 by 12 paper is called Penguin Playmates paper, and it is one of the products that you can earn. If you buy $50 worth, you get this paper free. So this paper, as well as the paper that's on the front of the card tonight, is part of that package. So for this one, I borrowed the Wishing You a Merry Christmas from the Frosted Gingerbread set. And you see my little penguin here, and I popped him up on some dimensionals so he could stand out a little bit. And, you know, kind of separated him from the rest of the paper. And this is Shaded Spruce, is the color that I used. And then on the inside, I stamped, May You Enjoy the Peace of the Beautiful Season. And that comes from the Peaceful Cabin stamp set. So, yeah, if you take a particular liking to some of these cards, you'll have a little bit of an idea of where I got the things to make them with. This one is, I just put Season's Greetings on the outside, which is part of this Penguin Place stamp set. This die that I used came from the So Many Snowflakes dies. And it's one I really liked. I went back to make sure it was still available, and it is. This is balmy blue color in behind, and I used a black border in this case. And the same sentiment on the inside. This one might be one of my favorites. The little sequins that I put on this one comes from that Peaceful Cabin suite. And I use balmy blue again, and I stamped these little penguins, and I cut out their hats. I stamped those on a separate piece of paper, and I cut them out, fussy cut the hats and the little scarves. There again, I'm using a smaller one of those circle dies. This one has Season's Greetings. That sentiment is in this same bundle, the Penguin's Place. And then the sentiment on the inside I got from the Peaceful Cabin there again. This one is, I just borrowed an old sentiment, a Merry Christmas, that would fit there. I don't think that size is available, but you might have one that is. So I wanted to, sometimes, you know, you can go back and use things that you have that are no longer available. You don't have to have exactly what I've got on here, and it just is to give you ideas anyway. This paper is from that same set of Penguin Playmates. I used the dies on this one from the Sparkle of the Season. Or wait a minute, this one's called Season Swirl Dies, which is part of a bundle called Sparkle of the Season. But I added a few extra leaves from a punch that I had, a few extra holly leaves and the berries and what have you. But I just wanted to jazz it up a little bit and let that little penguin say, you know, Merry Christmas. He's got a cute little bow tie, which is part of the set that the Penguin's Place there again. And I have the same sentiment on the inside. This color is Garden Green, by the way. This is Night of Navy, and this snowflake that was cut out of the background of this is from the So Many Snowflakes die. It's the same set as the other one that I mentioned. And this little penguin is going skiing, I suppose. And I lifted him up on dimensionals, and there is a stamp in this set for I don't know what the proper name for the ski sticks are. I'm not a skier, so I just cut two of my own. We'll put it that way. Then I put the same sentiment on the inside of this one because it also says Season's Greetings. Okay, here's one that says Merry Christmas. This Merry Christmas came from the Sparkle of the Season stamp set. And the little tree came from the Whimsical Tree stamps, which is one that I've shown in the past. This one, all these little packages I stamped from this penguin set. And it's got these cute little feet in this set, and I just wanted it to look like he walked a long way to get to the Christmas tree to get his presents. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a fun use of that. And this one has the same sentiment. I do have a birthday card here. Another birthday card, I should say, a second one. It just seemed like this paper matches this rich razzleberry. So pretty. And this is fresh freesia. And so I stamped 2 balloons. I stamped another one, cut it out, put it on dimensionals to give it some lift. Same thing with the happy birthday. I put those up on dimensionals in one of the little packages. Something that did not come in the penguin set are these little hats. I borrowed that from another stamp set that's no longer available, but all in the world these little hats are little triangles. So if you want a hat, cut a little triangle and put you a little, you know, uneven ball on top of it, and you're good to go. So I just, you know, I improvised some, and you can do the same. It's not hard. So these little penguins are stamped penguins, and the one that I'm doing tonight is not a stamped penguin, and I'm going to show you the difference. I wanted to be able to use the stamp or the punch, and you can punch these out as a unit. Is what I'm trying to say. The penguin that I'm going to show you how to do in this card is you're getting the body and the inside to the body, and then, you know, some separate pieces, wherein this whole thing is stamped, and then you stamp in the nose and the heart. And you can stamp in the feet if you want to. I didn't on this particular one, but you can stamp in the feet. Okay, let's get started making this card. Well, you might want to see this. I put a little different sentiment on this one. Hope this new year is filled with promises of many bright tomorrows. So you can put anything you want to on the inside. And since this is going to be a little bit more involved than some we've had, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've got 2 little plastic bags tonight, which helps me to keep up with what I'm doing. So this is the middle one, actually, and I've got the largest one and the 3rd largest one taped together, and you'll see why in a few minutes. Let me take these things out. I did a few things ahead of time to save time, and the parts that I thought would be real pertinent for you to be able to know how I did them, you know, we're going to do those together. All right, I went ahead and I did the embossing for the sentiment. I might be laying that up too far. And I went ahead and did this penguin, but I'm going to show you about him too. He's ready to go. All right. We'll just talk about these as we come together. Putting 2 dies together like this of a different size is how I cut out these 2 what I call borders. And that will be the border for the outside and for the inside, which will give you a really nice finish on your card. So those are the pieces. They're cut out, but I wanted you to know how I got them. So all you have to do is just lay this down on a piece of cardstock, run it through your die machine, and voila, you got your borders. From the, let's see, this one is the middle one. Let me see here. I believe these were the, yeah. All right. What I did when I got started here is I wanted a different size border. I had to use a bigger die than was the opening, is what I'm trying to say. And then, look here, I want to make sure I'm telling you right because my memory sometimes fails me. Now this one falls right in, and it is the die that is too small to cut out this white opening. And so the second one is what we need for that. All right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this right where it will cut this white opening. And what I did to get the white opening is I'm starting with the usual 5.5 by 8.5 card base, and it's scored at 4.25. So what I did was I took a full sheet of this, which is 3 3/4 by 5. I glued it to the Razzleberry. This comes out of that Penguin Playmate package that's free. Then I took a piece of rich razzleberry, which is 5 1/4 by 4 inches. 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I glued those two together. Then what I did was I used this die to cut through that first union. After I got the opening cut out, I went ahead and glued it to the white card base on the front. The reason I've done it this way is because I did not think that this die would cut through 3 thicknesses of cardstock. You would think it would just make more sense to put 3 pieces together and you'd be good to go and just pop it out and you'd be done with it. But even doing it this way, it doesn't cut the very last sheet real easy. And I'll show you what I'm going to do that for you right now. So what you do is you want to open this card up so that the back part of it is towards you. And I am going to take a couple of pieces of tape and put it in its, set it a little bit so that it won't slip. But if you notice when I slip that, it just falls right into that slot. That's what you want. So what I'm going to do is put it there so it will hold and not move. Now I'm going to take my die cutting machine and I'm going to lay this on it and run it through my die cutting machine. All the time I'm leaving that card open. So I'm going to run it through a couple of times and we'll see if it'll fall out, and if it doesn't, I'll flip it over. I am using the thick cardstock, and I like to use the thick cardstock for my base. See, what happened is exactly what happened this time, and this is why I think it's necessary to go about it in this manner. I'm going to pull this off easy because I do not want to tear the front to my card. I got a little Post-it tape. All right, you can see part of it came loose, not all of it. But what you can do, and what I found out that I could do, is just go around the back and put it as close onto that circle as I can. And that way I'm cutting it from an opposite direction. It's not all that much trouble, but you kind of got to know the process by which to do it. And I'm going to leave it open just like this and put it on my cutting plate. And then, see, it's going to stay open. Otherwise, you're going to mess up the back of your card. You don't want to do that. Okay. Let's hope that this is all it needs. All right. Okay, there you go. And that is the reason I do it this way. Now you've got a nice finished edging on both sides, not a problem. And this last piece is cut out, but I knew it just would not cut through. So that worked perfectly. The one thing I am going to do now, I guess, you don't necessarily have to do it right now, but I'm going to go ahead and do it, and then it'll be finished. I'm going to take one of these rings, and let me reach over here and get a piece of scrap paper. I didn't think to do this, to lay it out earlier. All right, let me move that. And all I'm worried about is catching glue. Now, if you look at this, I hope you can see, all I'm going to do is lay that right on top, and it's bigger than this. It's just a little bit bigger than the circle opening. The circle opening. Let me clarify. All right, I'm not going to put a whole lot of glue on this. Whoops. So I said, anyway. The idea is just to put enough. I'm going to spread that out a little bit. Actually, I'm going to take a little bit of that off. I don't want that much on it, because if I do, it'll get gushy, sure as the world. Okay, let me get my baby wipe over here where I can keep my glue under control. All right. Now I'm just going to lay it down right on top. I'm just going to lay it real easy to start with, and then I'm going to look back over here, and I'm going to slip it just a tiny bit to get it right in the center. Okay, I think that's good, and I'm going to press that down. All right. Yeah, that's got a little glue. I'm going to flip that over. Now, the reason I think it's a good idea to let it lap over a little bit, to be just that in-between size where it's a little bit bigger than the hole, but the inside is a little bit smaller than the hole, the inside of this. So what I'm going to do is we're going to seal these two together, and then it seals your card front and makes it a complete unit. I have seen these where in the opening, if you don't get the glue right around the circle, you're not going to have a nice finished edge. I hope I'm not talking in circles, but by putting this piece here on the inside, and then we're going to take our fingers and kind of, make sure everything is matching. That's important. And then once I'm satisfied where it's at, I'm going to seal it down. Now, if this piece on top were not sealed completely to the razzleberry underneath, it could be loose there in the center. So this way, when the two seal together, nothing is going to move. It's going to stay exactly like you made it, and it's going to leave a nice finish on this side and a nice finish on this side. So that's the reason for that. Now then, the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pencil, and I'm going to mark like that. And that way you get a good idea of where your circle is or needs to be on the inside. So that's ready for us to glue this part in. I have two pieces, of Rich Razzleberry They are 1 inch wide by 8 inches long. And I'm going to glue these two together. And my theory on this, and this is strictly Clara speaking, but I wanted to make sure that this was strong enough to support that center circle without, you know, folding up. So I'm just going to put a little glue on this. I might be going a little overboard, I don't know, but the last card worked, so we're going to make this one the same. I have folded these in half for a reason, and you could, you know, you don't have to fold it in half first. You could glue these together, which might be a little bit easier if you did that, but I think that's set nicely and would look nice. Okay. Now then, the next part is we're going to come in here, and if you look, we're going to be working with this portion. We've got the folded area towards the outside of the card. Now, what I want to do is I want to get this lined up. You're going to need to come back about 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/4 of an inch, from the inside score line where it's folded. And at the same time, you want to center this support, I'll just call it a support, pretty much in the center of the circle. So what I did is I check it by looking at the front of the card. And if that looks pretty good, then we should be good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up carefully. I might need to slip that in just a little bit. And I'm going to make myself a line here and a line here. And that way, after I get the glue on, all I have to do is lay it down on top of that. And this is where the first part of the support goes. So we'll put a little glue. This is a new tube of glue, so I know there's glue in there if I can get it to come out. Okay. And I guess on this, I'm a little more generous with the glue because I want this to really be sealed down tight or good or whatever you want to call it. And if a little bit of glue comes out on this, it's not going to show. So I'm going to slide this back so I can make sure that I get it on my lines here. And I hope my head doesn't get in the way. Okay. And then I want to lay this over and make sure that it looks straight. I think it does. And then I'm just going to press that down. Okay. That should be good. All right. Now then, we're going to take, the next step is to take this piece of basic white, which is 3 3/4 by 5, and a piece of rich razzleberry, which is 4 inches by 5 1/4. And I'm going to glue these two together. A lot of times I have this already done on the inside, but this process involves the inside in a way that we usually don't do the inside of cards. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to do cards, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying that for the purposes of what I have done in the past anyway, I'll put it that way. So the idea is to, as one lady said, I believe it's from Wow Wow Creations, she would say, she was going to marry these two pieces, and I thought that was absolutely cute. So I sometimes say that. But these are being difficult to get along, so we're going to have to back up and try again, I guess. The more glue you put on, the easier it is to slide it, but it also, you don't want too much glue, so let me see if I can kind of get this straightened out here just a little bit. I'm just not satisfied with it yet. Well, I don't know what it is about cards, but if it ever starts to go south, it is just really difficult to get it to line back up. And yet, sometimes it will just line up. It's so perfect, you just can't believe how fast it lined up. But this is not one of them tonight, folks. It's me, I guess, but make sure I don't get any glue on the outside of that paper. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble tonight. That's not usually the case. Well, I seemingly am determined to have it one way or the other. A little too far one way or the other. Well, I'm going to show you what I do when I have this problem. As you can see, this side is just a little bit wider than this side, the border. So I'm going to reach down and get my Stampin' Trimmer. I'll move this over. And all I'm going to do is take a smidgen and I don't want to ruin this thing. Well, that was a smidgen, folks, let me tell you. Maybe a tiny bit bigger smidgen. Because you don't... I'm sorry, I don't mean to waste your time. But if it's not right, it's just not right, you know? There we go. That's what I needed, I think. There we go. See that tiny little bit? But I promise you, it didn't cut all the way through. It just doesn't look good if it's not even. It just doesn't. All right. I think at last, maybe, we'll be good to go here. That's why I do these things that are not hard to that are generally not hard to go do. I think that's what I'll say. All right, let's go back to the matter at hand and hopefully that I can manage a little bit better with this. So now at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to lay this part, your inside sentiment part's what I'll call that, and we're going to glue it into the card base, the inside card base. Okay. And I'm going to be lining this up kind of along where that support comes to that side. All right, let's see how I am on bit distance and what have you. Okay, I think we're going to leave it like that. All right, now then, Okay, the next thing we've got to do is attach this circle and these circles together, and then to this. So let me do it this way. I cut this little snowflake circle just a tiny bit smaller than this rich razzleberry, because I thought it made it have a nice little border. I suppose if you wanted to get real fancy, you could use the scalloped ones, but I did not. Okay, I believe that's all right. All right, now the first one that's going to go on is this one, is the underneath one. And the same thing has got to hold true in that this has got to go pretty much in the center. Let me flip this over because this is there. Now, you want to be able to close it up and it look nice. I'm going to try to divide the distance here and then check it again. Because I think that is important. All right. I think that should be good. Now, let's move this up a little bit. I'm looking at it from an angle. Sometimes you kind of have to get it up like this if you... All right, now that's looking better, I think. You'll notice I'm holding this with my thumb, so it will not slip. Now, before I glue this again, I'm going to do just like I did a minute ago. And I'm going to draw me a line as to where I need to put this back down. Now then, I shouldn't have let this slip, and I did. I'll be honest with you, this is only the second time that I've made one of these. This is the, I learned how to make it doing the other one and kind of finding my way along there. And that looks pretty balanced. The reason I'm being as meticulous about this part as I am is because when the penguin goes on, you don't want, I mean, the penguin might look good in the center of this, but if it's not in the center of this, right here, that would make a substantial difference. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold it and hope I don't slip it any. And I'm just going to put glue right here. I'm just going to put it, for right now, I'm just going to put it right under that band. Okay. As you can see, a little bit has come out, but that's not going to show because I'm going to glue another piece on top. All right. Now, that looks good. All right. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to glue this piece now on top of the band or the support. And the hard part is just about done. It's not terribly hard, it's just that you have to be careful about the way you approach it. So that you get, the lining up is the thing. Okay. Now, obvious it's not too hard to match these two. But, by all means, you know, raise it up. Make sure they're seated together. And then you can press it down. Another thing that you have to do that I should have mentioned is when you stamp your happy birthday, you want to make sure that it's going to be in the center of this so that when you open it up, it's in the center of this part. So there you go. All we need to do just about is put on our little penguin. But before we glue the penguin on and put on the last sentiment, I want to show you a couple of things about the punch. I want to bring a couple of things to your attention. And it does seem that I am missing one piece, but I'll tell you anyway, and you will understand, I'm sure. When you get ready to punch out this part of your penguin, make sure that you take the double eyes that are in this photopolymer set. There's a little set of eyes. This is the set of eyes. Well, that's not going to help you any. Maybe that. All right. What I would suggest you do is go ahead and stamp your eyes onto a piece of cardstock that's big enough to cut the inside part of the penguin. And by doing that, when you slide the part in that you want to cut the penguin belly from, you can line up your eyes. And if you try to cut this part first and then put eyes on that little part, it's very difficult. So always stamp your eyes. And I had a set stamp somewhere and it ran away, I guess. But anyway, you get the idea. So what you want to do is just stamp those eyes and then cut it out and slide it up like that, and then you can balance it, like I said. And then the other thing I did too is once I got this little part cut out and I had my eyes on it all ready, I went ahead and stamped my little heart for my penguin right here. I stamped out that little heart so that if you mess it up, you just got this one little piece to deal with. So then once you get your white piece taken care of, you take another little piece of black and you stamp the outside body of the penguin. The biggest difference in stamping the penguin body with a photopolymer stamp and this is that this will have a border around it, as you saw in some of the other cards, which you can go back and look at if you'd like. And this has no border. So this is what the penguin looks like when you use the punch to stamp him out. And I use pumpkin pie to stamp the feet out. Got a little foot right there. I punched out 2 of those. And I frankly just cut the nose out. You know, just a tiny little upside down triangle is what it amounts to. And then you glue the white to the black and you're good to go. So it's not that difficult. In order to get your penguin where you want him in the front of your card, whether you want him to sit right, you can make him sit down at the base, or you can, you know, just sit him up a little bit, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. But what I did was I put my glue on, and then I spaced it based on the front more than the second layer. But I think that he'll be okay when we get the second layer because we're being careful to line everything up as we go. I will say this, in my instructions, and you know, this has not been the easiest one to write up. Sometimes seeing is worth a, you know, what they say, a picture's worth 1,000 words or something. Watching the video, I think, in this particular case especially, would be very beneficial. All right, you see the little penguin sitting in the middle, and then when you open him up, he's still sitting in the middle where he's supposed to. So we're going to press him down. Press her down. She's got a heart on. I thought this might be more appropriate for a female. And then I took this little piece and I embossed "To the Coolest Friend Ever" on this, just because I thought the dark color would show up well on this striped pattern. And you wouldn't have to. You could just stamp it on white and then make a little border to go around it or something. You don't have to emboss it. I did because I don't find that it's that much of a problem to emboss. But I tried to explain in the directions how I emboss the words here too. So one other thing about my instructions, I try to choose paper packs, cardstock packs. If I've got like 2 colors and you can get both of them in a multicolored pack, I try to make sure that, you know, I'm mindful and not trying to sell you everything under the sun. There is enough, I'm going to say this, there is enough paper. There's 2 sheets of rich raspberry paper, which is this color, in the Regal's cardstock pack. That would be enough to make 1 card. If you were to cut something wrong, you might not have enough paper. Or if you want to make more than 1 of these, you might not have enough paper. So I added the rich raspberry pack of cardstock, even though you wouldn't absolutely have to have it if everything goes perfect. So, you know, it's up to you whether you would be interested in purchasing both or 1 or what have you. But that was the reason that you got two packs on there. All right, the last little accents or embellishments is this Pearl Basic Jewel, is what it's called. And I'm going to lift 3 of these like I did on the other card. We'll use 3 of the larger ones. See if I can get them lined up here. Maybe, as my son would say, or one of my sons. Okay, and I'm going to press those down real good. Okay, folks, we have a card. I now have 2 of these cards, which is quite an accomplishment for me today. I've gone through the process of learning how to make, and now I've gone through the process of showing you how to make them. So I hope that this is helpful. I hope you've enjoyed it. I think these cute little penguins make adorable cards, and I'm sure that if somebody sent me one, that I would love to get one, and I think most folks would as well. My husband was looking at the penguin cards, and he was saying, oh, those are cute. I thought, well, are you still, I was surprised he liked penguins, but he did. So I guess you could send them to a man too, maybe, if he's like my husband. But these are adorable, and if you do them in a manly color, they're certainly, that's a go-to. But anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. I know it's been a bit long and a bit laborsome, and these are maybe not the kind of cards you want to send to everybody, but they are nice cards, and they're a little bit more trouble than just putting something on the outside, a little bit on the inside, and you're done. But they are pretty, I think. So I guess the only thing is if you haven't pushed the subscribe button, I'd appreciate it. If you need to make a little purchase to be able to do these cards, I did see today, after I had made cards, 8 cards, that the stock is a little bit low. The inventory is a little bit low on these this Penguin Place bundle. So I don't know how long they're going to be available. I hope they'll get more in. But right now, if you're interested and you don't have them, you might want to get on and go ahead and order them, because like I said, I don't know how long they might be out of stock once they use up all their stock. So I will mention that to you. And I do have a host code. If you make a purchase and you spend under $150, this is the host code, and you will use that host code, I will give you a $10 gift of your choice of merchandise. And if it's over $150, you see several things you like, make sure that you do not use the host code, because then Stampin' Up! At that point will start to give you a percentage. It's 10% at $150, and it's a little bit more as you go to, as it goes on up with the amount that you spend. But you'll still get a gift from me, but you just can't use the host code if you spend more than $150. I guess that is all for tonight. Enjoy the rest of your week, and like I said, I'll be back as soon as possible to get some more cards together, another set, and we'll focus in on another group in a couple of days. It'll probably be 2 to 3 days, maybe 3 to 4 days, something in that range. But if you push subscribe, they'll notify you, and you won't miss anything. So thank you so very much, and I'll talk with you next time.